They believe you. See, what we got to understand, dear brothers and sisters, is this. If you got little or you got much, God still have blessed you. And never despise a person that has less than you do, because I've seen people in my life get a whole lot of stuff and don't do nothing with it. And I've seen people that just have a little bit that just able to make it some kind of way. It seems like it go such a long way. Y'all remember Jesus now. When the multitude was hungry, it was a little lad that was in the midst of them. He had only 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. And Jesus says, anybody here got anything? I want you to know little become much when you put it in God's hand. So whatever you got this morning, don't be stingy and try to hold on it, but give it to God and see that God will multiply it. And when Jesus took it, he looked towards heaven. He said, I'm going to pray to the Father because of you all. Because he know his Father always hear him. And he told his disciples, I want you to tell the men to sit down in the company of 50. And when he said the prayer, he said, them 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread fed the multitude. Ain't God good this morning? I'm talking about the Lord's Supper. I remember years ago that they had a big prestigious banquet, and there was a gentleman who, I don't know if he was of the Tuskegee Airmen, but he was way back out in the war. He had fought in the war somewhere, and he said, you could have a seat at my table. And I told him, I said, I already got a seat at the Lord's table. Is there anybody here know that you got a seat at the Lord's table? I want to bless somebody this morning, because you got to know and understand the Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not want. He making me to lie down in green pastures. He leading me beside the still waters. He restored my soul. You know what I love about him so much? His rod and his staff, they comfort me. He anoint my head with oil, and my cup runneth over. Says, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. I want somebody to know and understand, no matter how it look right now, you must know that you're going to sit down at the banquet table in heaven with the Lord. For Jesus, when he partook of the table of the supper, he said, I ain't going to drink it new until I'm in my Father's house. And you know what Jesus waiting on? He waiting on you, and he waiting on me. I'm so glad this morning that he had to face Calvary's cross. And when he faced Calvary's cross, can you imagine if I could find somebody that ever been to death row, they'll know something about a last meal. For the warden to come by 24 hours before execution, and they said, what you desire for your last meal? Good God Almighty, I would probably tell him I'm fasting. I don't even want nothing tonight. But Jesus, before he had to face Calvary's cross, he ate with his disciples. And when he looked around at them, he already knew what they were going to do. But you know something? He still instituted that supper, and he wanted to caution them. He said, now, as often as you eat of this bread, and as often as you drink of this cup, you do show forth his death till he come. I'm so glad this morning. I don't know if it was a rectangular table. I don't know if it was a round table. I don't know if it was a square table. I don't know if it was a glass table. I don't know if it was a wooden table. But what I do know that Jesus was sitting at the table. And while he was sitting at the table, he made it possible for you and I to enter into the kingdom of heaven. Is there anybody here got reservations to know that one of these days you're going to be dining with Jesus, and ain't nobody to tell you your name ain't on the guest list? Well, I don't know about you, but I done RSVP, and I done already let him know. Lord, you said when your blood was shed that my name was written in the Lamb's Book of Life. See, there's going to be some books open. And see, everybody's name that ain't in the book ain't going to make it to the banquet table. But I'm glad my name is written on the roll. I'm glad your name is written on the roll. And I'm so glad today that Jesus, I'm talking about Mary's baby. I'm talking about the fairest of 10,000. I'm talking about the lily of the valley. I'm talking about the bright and morning star. I'm talking about the rose of Sharon. I'm talking about the way, truth, and the life. I'm talking about the one that Ezekiel said he got the wheel in the middle of a wheel. Do anybody know him this morning? I believe Isaiah said, unto us a child is born, and unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulders, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. I'm so glad I don't have to worry and I don't have to fret, because the God I serve haven't failed me yet. Check. Chopping. Some things need sauteing. Other things need marinating. A good cook don't just take and put the bread in the oven, but they grease the pan before they put it in the pan. Amen. Then they preheat the oven. And when they preheat the oven, they put it in the oven. And my grandmama used to say, stop running around in my house. You're going to make my cake fall. I'm so glad this morning for grandmother. And I used to see my grandmother when she'll take things out of the oven. We couldn't afford something in them toothpicks. So we went to the little Swiss broom and got a piece of broom out. And she took it and she would dip it in there and she would pull it out. And I'm so glad that some of the best meals I had were that red lobster. Some of the best meals I had were that Ruth Chris. Some of the best meals I had wasn't at some of these nice, fabulous restaurants, but some of the best meals I had was at grandmama's table. But you know something? Those were some of the best meals I had. But the best meal I'm going to have is when I'm going to sit down at the Lord's table. I'm so glad this morning that a seat is already prepared for me. And you know what I love about it, Brother Michael? I ain't got to play musical chairs to get my seat, because the Lord has already prepared that place for me. So when I come into his kingdom, all I got to do is pull up a chair, because the Lord has already prepared that meal for me. I love when she used to bake a cake. I couldn't wait to lick the bowl. I'm so glad that there was people that God has put in my life that cared enough about me that made sure I had a balanced meal every day. But it's one thing to have a good home-cooked meal. Oh, but it's something altogether to have a heavenly prepared meal. Is there anybody understanding what I'm saying today? But the heavenly meal is eternal. And that heavenly meal, it is a perpetual supper. Can I say it again? It's a perpetual supper. And I don't know why. Lord, help me. Brother Eugene just came to my heart. And I remember he told me that he worked at Morrison's over there. And he used to prepare all kind of meals for everybody. And I ain't preaching, I'm preaching Jesus, but he just came to my heart while I'm talking. And I can remember before I learned how to really cook good, I used to call him and he'll tell me, Pastor Kemp, you need to do this and do that and the other. I turned out to be a pretty good cook now because I had somebody that instructed me in the right way. And see, whenever you know better than what you ought to do, you ought to be able to do better. See, Morrison's has some good meal, but the Master's Supper is the best meal. And I just stopped by Peace Progressive Community Church to tell somebody this morning, oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man that trusts in him. Is there anybody here this morning know and understand? When you are invited to a dinner, according to Proverbs 23 by verse 7, say, when a king invites you to dinner, you got to put a knife to your throat. Because some people invite you out just go see how greedy you are. I don't know what's going on today, but in this dating pool off of social media and all these apps, the girl went to a birthday party and brought 18 of her friends, and the little boy had to pay for her stuff, and she said he's going to pay for everybody. I said, no, this ain't the kind of party it is. So one thing I love about the Lord, not only is he prepared the meal, he also paid the bill. Is there anybody here know and understand that the bill is paid? And the Bible says he is our propitiation, meaning that he's the perfect sacrifice. And because he's the perfect sacrifice, I don't know what the waiter was expecting to get in a tip. But I ain't going to give you no financial tip. I'm going to give you a heavenly tip. All you got to do is believe in your heart. All you got to do is confess with your mouth. And when you believe in your heart and confess with your mouth, you got to sit at the Lord's table. And while you're here on this side, The Lord gonna prepare a table before you in the presence of your enemy. You know why my enemies ain't died? Because the Lord let them live to see how much He gonna bless me. So everybody thought I had it down. You know how in wrestling they want you to tap out? No. I'm not tapping out. I'm tapping in. Because I tapped into His goodness. I tapped into His greatness. I tapped into His glory. I tapped into His mercy. I tapped into all of the things that belong to the Lord. Is there anybody know and understand that give and it shall be given unto you? Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, shall men pour into your bosom. Because you've been faithful over a few things, God will make you ruler over many things. The Lord's Supper, give God praise and give Him glory.